Hello everyone and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week we will be talking about a fork of the MiSTer project, an update on NARC, NeoGeo CD updates, and more. So let's get to it. Someone is forking MiSTer to work on more FPGA boards. Hans Beyer is currently working on a fork of MiSTer called MiSTex with the goal of being able to use whatever FPGA chip you want paired with the All-Winner D1 as the HPS. HPS stands for Hard Processor System and consists of the ARM SoC that runs the MiSTer Linux OS and handles other non-FPGA duties. At the moment, Hans has a hardware design for an All-Winner SoC that attaches to a Thoracic Deca FPGA board. Abstracting all the functions of the MiSTer FPGA framework to work on multiple FPGA boards will be a huge task, but should help us rely less on the DE10 Nano board. Jotego does something similar with his cores. He ports his cores to multiple FPGA boards through his own development framework. I wish Hans luck on this journey. You can check out Hans's GitHub or Twitter page to follow the project. The in-development NeoGeo CD Core can now play CD audio on some games. If you want to test it out yourself, you can download a test version of the core. A link will be provided in the description. Jotego has finally managed to get the frame buffer working on OutRun. This will allow the core to operate at a lower speed and still render all sprites on time. The last time I tried OutRun, the only issues I noticed were some sprite rendering bugs. Besides that, the core ran great. Hopefully, the frame buffer fixes those sprite bugs I encountered. Jotego has added the kids game Magical Pumpkin to the CPS-1 core. This is a children's game developed for the CPS-1 board when the hardware became no longer viable for modern games. It was a game that was used in amusement parks and shopping centers and was housed in a ride-on cabinet. If you want to know more about this game, MAME developer Hayes has a video on it. Jotego has incorporated Mike Simone's YC work onto his framework. This means that his cores will be able to output S-video and composite signals natively. I assume that Jotego needs to also update each core with the new framework in order for this to work. Jotego has also finished new versions of the schematics for XX's. I hope I pronounced that game correctly. This is a vertically scrolling shooter by Capcom that ran on hardware similar to that of 1942. Jotego now also feels comfortable sharing some expected dates for the Konami CPU. The first assembled version is expected the 24th of March, and the first core using it is expected for the 31st. The game being implemented for this first core has not been revealed, but games always mentioned that use the CPU are Aliens and The Simpsons, but it does not mean that this first core would be one of those games. Also, note that even though Jotego feels that he can meet these dates, issues can always arise that may cause delays, so we should always be patient with developers. Core developer Pramod is working on a core for the arcade game NARC. The latest update on his development shows that he can get the game past the power on self-test. A screenshot he posted on Twitter shows the CMOS clear screen, but the border and some letters are missing. I'm looking forward to the development of this core because it can also lead to other midweight arcade games that use similar hardware. Anton Gale keeps progressing with the schematics for the Taito System SJ hardware, which runs elevator action. Lately, schematics have been released for the video out and hit bus, the I/O interface, and the sound section. The Vision USB from RetroSpy is a device that can send your button presses from a game over the network. You can then create overlays that display what buttons you are pressing while you're capturing a game or streaming a game online. On this tweet, you can exactly see what is possible with the device. The device can work with a console, PC, and now a MiSTer FPGA. Check out the Retro RGB article for more details. Core developer Raki has already released a Nemesis core for MiSTer. They've also been working on an alternate version of Gradius that runs on Konami's Bubble system. The schematics for that game are now done. What's unique about this Bubble system hardware is that it introduced a new form of data storage called bubble memory cartridges for arcade games. Wikipedia says that these cartridges were sort of a non-mechanical magnetic storage media. It is said to have been more reliable than mechanical floppy disks or tape drives, but they still ended up being extremely susceptible to electromagnetic fields. System16.com mentions that anyone who still has one of these systems in their possession and still has it working today is incredibly lucky. Now that the Gradius schematics are done, Rocky's going to start reversing this Taito arcade board. Initially, I thought this was Taito's F3 arcade board, but when I looked up the serial numbers on the board, I found out that this is a board that can run the New Zealand Story and other Taito/Seta hardware games. It looks like the main driver does not have complete information about the board's control register bits, so hopefully Rocky can sort that out through reverse engineering it. And other MiSTer related updates are, for the BBC Micro Core, there's floppy support thanks to Allen SWX, a different PSG implementation is now used, and the framework was updated, along with the frameworks for the Atari ST, Commodore 16, and VIC-20 cores. For the Sega Master System core, a video rotation option was added to the System 6T arcade mode thanks to Birdie Bro, and its framework was updated along with the framework for the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and PET 2001 cores. The Lynx 48 core has also had its framework updated. The Super Game Boy core has audio fixes, controller swap with Snack Game Boy was fixed, and its framework was updated. Allen SWX updated the frameworks to a whole bunch of arcade cores. I believe all these framework updates should also give you composite and S-video output with these cores. For the Apple II core, support for the Super Serial card was added thanks to Allen SWX, and its framework was updated along with the frameworks for the Amstrad, Apogee, and Aquarius cores. The framework for the Astrocade, Atari 800, Atari 5200, BK0011M, and ColecoVision cores were updated. The Iron M72 core had its framework updated, and 57 and 60 Hz video modes were enabled, thanks to help from R&D MNK3. Developer Worker Waka also says to please keep in mind that while Composite and S-Video now works with the core, the 256 line output and non-standard timing is going to cause cropping and sync issues on most consumer CRTs. For the Jupiter, Mac Plus, MSX, and Auric cores, the framework was updated. The QL, Sam Coop, ZX81, ZX Next also had their frameworks updated. The Specialist, TS Conf, Vector 06C cores also had their frameworks updated. And Sorge completed a design for version 3.0 of the SD-RAM module. Some more grounds were added, but there are no functional changes. If you already use version 2.9, then there is no need to upgrade. That's it for other updates. Please also try to support Sorge, the maintainer of the MiSTer project, and other MiSTer developers and contributors on support platforms such as Patreon and Ko-fi. Their hard work allows us to enjoy this amazing project. So that's it for this week's episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer news videos in blog form and get more retro related content. And if possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.